Hey everyone, Hanz here. Hope you're doing well. Today I'm gonna make a video about all kinds of topics. We'll see where it goes, I suppose. I've also posted a video that I've made like earlier in the week, basically, from today's video. Or from this video, I should say. Maybe that's better to put it like that. And I actually, now that I realize I'm wearing the same tank top. No worries though, guys. These tank tops of mine go do in the wash. It's like I jump in the river once in a while with clothes on and all, get it all rinsed out in one go. But yeah, anyways, to the uh, to the observant, you'll also notice that at this point in time, the viewership of my videos is straight up cut in half. I have like 100 views on average that are visible. Probably those are being like a chop from something else as well, who knows. But you can clearly tell that it's all halved, hence my last video, or the video before this one. That will give more light to that. The reason I mentioned it is so, you can go back and have a glance if you want to. It's up to you. And please leave your, please, if you do not mind, if you have a few minutes, give me your thoughts, because I asked for something there, and yeah, it will give me something to work with, which I always like to do for myself, for people too. Well, it's almost like I care about myself, but at the same time I can do right by others as well. What a strange concept. You don't really hear that in modern society, do you now? It's always serve everyone or serve only yourself. These false dichotomies, they're just everywhere, aren't they? Anyways, so I usually do not like to respond to things that are mainstream in the sense, or a response to the mainstream, because I always figure that plenty of other people do it already, and why would I need to be yet one other repeater, if you will. But in this instance I think I will, because I am a little bit worried for the people I care about, and those just who are of who I do not know personally, so I'm not gonna pretend I care about them. I can only say that if you're of good intention, I'm always willing to lay something out, at the very least. And maybe we'll meet one day. And then I can like you, you can like me, or we can dislike each other, whatever it's gonna be, right? But yeah, so what is this topic I want to begin with? It's about the whole food supply going down the drain. Places being torched, food trains or whatever being robbed, and nobody can figure out who it is. It is the whole children being kidnapped thing all over again, isn't it? It's like when you have paid 2 cents or a cent too short on your taxes, they'll be right in front of your door. But oh boy, finding a lost child, or finding apparently food supplies in a time that famine seems to come, along the corner. No, impossible. Makes me wonder what these taxes are for, if not for having for paying the men who would look for this sort of thing, who would investigate that, who would hold the criminals accountable, that sort of thing. Curious, isn't it? But yeah, sure enough, it seems that even in this year still there's gonna be not really a famine, I suspect, but there's gonna be a severe rise in food prices. I mean, I already have noticed as much where I am, that if I go to the store, I don't always do, not always need to, let's put it like that. But if I go there, at least for me, I can see those differences. I'm not there every day. So maybe for me it's easier to see, rather than people who go almost every day or every 2 days, and they see this steady increase, like the frog in the boiling pot, right? Like I'm basically tossed into the cooking water and I can't jump back out, but someone else might be like, oh, it's getting uncomfortable here, but you know, yeah, that sort of thing. So what I would recommend is look into sites where farmers market sites or something. Go and try to contact not the stores who are like middlemen, but try to get to the deliverers of food supplies directly, and that way the price might still remain a little bit lower for you if they take what do you call it? If they take orders, that's the term, and if they deliver in your country, in your area, keep an eye on that as well, because they're mucking around with that preemptively. I wonder why, you know. It's almost like you could just help people, but no, not even not helping people, just getting in their way. What does that mean? I don't know. Uh, Actually, the more I talk here, the more I suspect this video is gonna be like wiped off, like the time I wanted to speak about something else. You know that event from 2 years ago? Well, not 2 years ago, the event that lasted 2 years, I mean. You know? Remember? Of course you do. So try to do that. Look into places where you can order foodstuffs that stay good for a long time. Yeah, guys, that doesn't mean it's gonna be the tastiest stuff necessarily, but try to look at that as well. I also am going to recommend to people. It's for most places right now, where the West man lives. It's spring, summer for most of us, I guess. For those who live in those parts, you can basically you might consider turning your lawn into a potato field. Basically, grow grow some vegetables, and preferably calorie dense vegetables, right? Make sure that your energy isn't spent on something that you know no issue with planting something that you like, but look at what you really need in the first place. So I recommend potatoes. As far as vegetables go, if there is something else, big one too, try to avoid monocropping, because animals, well, beasties, they will come to your garden, and if they eat everything before you do, well, you have a problem. Which is actually another topic worth going into, is that we really need to, I would recommend, if you care and if you have the possibility, go to the forest and plant something there that is edible. Yes, also for man, but what is the purpose? It's so the animals have more food, because all this deforestation is decimating the creatures of the world as well, the beasties. You'd think all these green parties would mention something about it, but nope, not the word. So again, it's up to the people who care, or the people who can, both I suppose, to go plant something in the greenery, and let nature do its thing. Don't need to over invest there, just let nature go right ahead. Why is it also a good thing in general? Is because if animals can get stuff from the forest, they're not so keen to come near people, meaning your garden will probably be left alone that much more. The reason why you want to avoid monocropping is it attracts more animals, it deteriorates the soil. No, you want to feed your soil. That gives you larger and bigger yields in the first place as well. Be aware of these hailstorms and all of that. It's going to be a bumpy ride. The meteorological, or however you pronounce that, science, for lack of another term, it predicts that we are looking at, to put it in Lord of the Rings terms, we're looking at a new age, guys. We're leaving one age and we're going into the next one. What that means is that we're going to see quite a lot of environmental changes. That's not something to panic about, it's just that Earth is interacting with other planets, right? And that leaves its effect, its energy, vibrations and all of that affect the weather, affect growth, affect the very air we breathe, all of it. Doesn't mean it's gonna go bad, it just means things will change. People who are afraid of change, yeah, well, you have a challenging time ahead, but you know, maybe it's good for you. So be aware of that as well. Try to make sure that your plants can get light, but also have a certain cover, if at all possible. What else can I mention? Yeah, and have a water filter. Have a water filter, perhaps two, you know, in case one breaks down. An extra one couldn't hurt. And what I'm proposing here is don't buy expensive nonsense at all that you'll regret buying because it will break down after a week or whatever. No, be careful in what you buy, but definitely prepare yourself accordingly on a sustenance level. What I'm also going to recommend is talk to your neighbors, even if you don't politically align and all of that. It's like, this is speaking about raw survival, guys. If food shortages rise and you won't have the money to buy anything else anymore, or the stores are simply empty, I don't think that will happen, but it's becoming more and more expensive just to live. And you know, gas prices in most nations are just going up and up and up, so some people eventually will not be able to afford going to their job anymore. That is something that is already happening to a lot of people. Yeah, there are solutions for that required as well. But in the first place, look to your immediate community. Can you get along with your neighbors? And even the ones you don't get along to, at least try to get it in their heads that, hey, if you don't work together, it's gonna go south real quickly. Because that's the point where when the more deranged chaos happens. There are two kinds of chaos in the coming, as I suspect. You can have deranged chaos, where everyone is just robbing each other for a scrap of bread and all of that. Or you can have managed chaos, if you will, where, yeah, like the old order is going under. You know, there are certain people who keep talking about a new world order. It's like, no, thank you. You know, the old one wasn't all that great, in my opinion. And now we're gonna have a new one. It's like, and it's gonna be so much better. And they're already talking about culling populations, especially whites. What a big surprise! You know, the race that is the most keen on freedom. No, need to get rid of those in the first place. I heard that the Asians are a close second, and then afterwards, yeah, whomever, I suppose, whomever is they think needs to go first on the list. So be warned. What I'm saying with that is, if you do not need to count on the government or anything for your sustenance, you won't owe them anything, they won't have a hold over you, or as much as they would like, some of them. Maybe, I could be wrong. Hanz is probably lying again, right? Then, yeah, that would be a big boon for you, wouldn't it? And you know, self-sustainability, it's always nice to have, I like to think. And if you have a potato field, so to say, and your neighbor has an onion field, and his neighbor has like a chicken coop or two, and then the guy next to that has his cows, just, I mean, a bit of a silly example, I know. But then you can help each other out. My life might actually become far easier, believe it or not. Gonna be working a bit more in your garden, but most people like to do that anyway, so what's the problem? Get some medicinal plants as well. Something that can dampen pain. That is always useful. Get a first aid kit. Your first aid kit. Something that befits you, you know? Don't buy or get anything that is useless to you. And don't follow these cookie cutter first aid advices either. You are a different person than the guy next to you, so to say. He might have skin afflictions and you might have a sore throat all the time. Well, if you both get the stuff for the skin affliction, so to say, yeah, what are you gonna do about your sore throat? You get the idea, right? There was something else I wanted to get into aside the survival part. And you know, stay calm. Stay calm. You can be afraid, that is fine. Being afraid for change, pretty natural thing. And we live in a neurotic time where most people are just, their systems are just haywire all the time. But don't fall in that trap. Stay out of it. Keep your foot out of it. See things through. Think logically. Okay, what can I do? And if you prepare well, fate will take care of you. The gods look after those who look after themselves. That's not a cheap line that is used. Well, that is a cheap line in the mouths of some, because it's just an excuse of they don't know what's going to happen. They can't even predict anything decently. So they're just simply what you call that? They just spew that to save their own, to cover their own ass, as they put it, right? Now, I'm saying that in the sense of, if you are a respectable, you know, diligent person, and you do the right things, you work with good people, things tend to work out. It's just how the world functions. It's the people who are dependent on others, who can fall on their knees and pray to their God as much as they want, but they are actually the ones in chains. Maybe some of them, well, most of them probably like to be there, but that's an entirely different thing. Reason I'm saying this is, stay calm, look after yourself, and look after others, and let them look after you. Also very important, and I can't say it enough, I've made videos on this by the boatloads by now. Look out for pathological types. I have videos that at least give some warning material. Look out for them. Do not work together, or try not to work together with people who are only in it for their personal pleasures, for their appetites, if you will. People who come close to you just so they can steal your potatoes at the end of the day, and whether you then starve, it stays in the middle. No, stay away from those types, or keep them away from you. Beware gossip, because these types love gossip. That's their favorite tactic, especially after they messed with you. And a lot of people tend to fall for that, so you need to make sure you have a good reputation. Work towards it as well. Don't give people fodder to talk about you behind your back, except if it's good things, I suppose. And yeah, what else can there be added? I think that's kind of it as far as the survival stuff goes. And I thought I was gonna manage in 10 minutes, but here we are. Those are the things I can think of. Oh yeah, as far as no monocropping, what I just say with that is, throw your onions among your potatoes, among your beanstalks, among your tomato, whatever it's gonna be, but mash it all up a little bit. Give it some sense, I suppose, of order in a sense, and put plants next to each other that help each other grow. That is ideal, and that will also feed the soil with all these mixed minerals in there, and create compost heaps. Yeah, I should have mentioned that earlier too. Compost heaps. Moldy wood, toss a bit of soil on it, some water on it, chip away. You have some old milk, toss it on there, you know. If you're a butcher and you have like leftover pieces of the animal that you've butchered or what have you, and you can't go anywhere else with it, you know, can't even feed it to the dogs, then just on the compost heap, so to say. And make it a nice steamy stew to feed the soil with. There is actually something interesting. I do not know that much about it myself at this point in time, but also copper in the soil seems to be a deficiency in the soil itself. And a lack of copper makes it a lot more difficult for life to grow in it. I only found out about that recently, and yeah, I think that is worth looking into. If you want to buy oils for cooking, Again, you know, vegetable oil, stay away from it. Nina Tea Schultz, I mentioned her before, is a good source to go to. I'll write her name down in case some people have difficulty with that. But also Nina Tea Schultz on rapeseed oil, vegetable oils, that sort of thing. Animal fats, that's where it's at. That's where you need to go, where you need to look. And yeah, I actually look forward to seeing all these lawns turn into gardens, but for those people who embrace that. I don't like lawns. A nice meadow, that's okay, because flowers are still allowed to grow in that. Something, you know, nettles, something we call weeds, are allowed to grow there. And that is natural, but just, you know, just going over a lawn over and over, it's almost, what would you call that? It's almost it's like an expression of some sort of compulsive disorder. What even say? Where did that start? I don't know. But it seems to be a thing. Can't let anything grow around your house apparently, because what will the neighbors say? Who in their heads have the exact copy-paste attitude. And now there was this one other topic in mind, but by thinking about the one, I forgot about the other. Unbelievable. That's how it tends to go, right? Not that I have that overly much time anymore to really get into it. But, come on, up, off you go. Got like a few insects jumping all over my hands. Go! Like really jumping from one hand to the other. Must have been that honey that I ate earlier or something. Oh yeah, talking about honey. Good thing that, thank you insects. I'd rather eat the honey than the insects, by the way, just saying. You know. What kind of food are you going to get if you have to stand in line all day? You know, like in the last century, early last century or halfway the last century. Seen the black white pictures? I don't want to be in one of those. Wow. At least then it was bread, right? What is it gonna be now? Are we really gonna go to a society where it goes from, sir, I have a fly in my soup, to, sir, I have soup in my flies, or something like that? It's like, I'm not looking forward to that at all. No, a resound no to that even. But yeah, honey. Look at the local plants that you can grow that attract butterflies and bees, and then anything else, just build a few beehives. I've even seen videos, there are videos out there on beehives who just settle inside a shed, and it's like they turn the shed into one massive hive with like hundreds of kilos of raw honeycomb. Now, don't know about you guys, but even some white honey, as it's called, which can be used for soap and everything like that. Just an idea, guys. Just throwing it out there. You do with it what you want. I'm no master at any of this myself. But I can, we can still speak about it, can't we? So, to all of you who haven't considered this yet, I really recommend you do. And, yeah. Even if you don't let anyone tell you it's too late. I recently got into a bit of a tiff with two people. Actually, only yesterday. One person was saying that, well, he was a prepper, and he's now going all over the place saying, I told you, like this bitter, vitriolic attitude. I told you all, and now you're gonna starve, and I'm gonna have food, is what that guy said. And you know what, good on him for prepping, but he didn't realize that there's a lot of people who are living rent by rent, wage by wage, who cannot own their own property, who barely have enough to live in some crappy apartment with mold on the walls and not a single drainage line that isn't rusted and all of that. Just to have that bite per day in your mouth, just to live on something. um, and I spoke out about that, against that person. It's like, no, that's not the attitude. There are people who truly, stubbornly will insist that, oh, it's all gonna be fine, it's all gonna be fine, and that is their business. If you then go around and go to those people and they don't listen to you, okay, but don't you turn around to people who would do the right thing, if only they could, and go blame on them, because that's then the thing you see, right? Or that's what I saw. It's like, rather than just then complain to the people who wouldn't listen, no, he goes complain to the people who are like now having their hands in their hairs of what will I do? Why is he going to those people? Well, because the other ones are still not listening. It's like, I'm not having that. No, that's unacceptable. And then is that worth bringing up? Then some other unpleasant individual went to step on her soapbox, and rather than understand what I was doing, went on her soapbox spewing the same kind of vitriol at me. Is that, oh, you're gonna be one of those who's gonna starve. Oh, is that so? And you like that? Well, no, but you're still going to, because you're being mean. Well, by standing up for people who do not have the money and then might come and back at my door, I do not mind that so much. I would help those people if I have the means to do so. And that, well, I've yet to, I didn't get a reply to that, let's put it like so. But you see those types, and I recommend that you ignore them. Ignore them, or if you're more like me and you just step in front of them and say, nope, you're not gonna go around discouraging people. Unacceptable. Even if it's late in the game, it's never too late. It's that simple. And, well, if you must fall, so to say, will you at least have the decency to step on the field? No? Will you whether you arrive on the field without any tools, without any means, will you then at least have the decency that they will find you on the field rather than somewhere hidden in a corner, pitiful, abandoned, or maybe abandoned oneself, gave up all hope? That single act can make you someone who is going to be remembered for centuries. Just to say, you know what, at least I'll choose the decent option. At least I'll go with dignity. And anyone else, well, yeah. But yeah, anyways, I've rambled right through until the machine can't take it anymore. I hope it's a bit helpful at least. And the other topic, well, it's gonna be for the next week or the week thereafter. We'll see. And again, as a reminder, I have another video that should be uploaded way before, well, maybe a few hours in between, something like that. I do not know how it's gonna look. But yeah, anyways. Oh, seems I got to go. A ride is coming. Oh, you all have a good one, and go check the other video too. Bye bye.